Well, I have to say, Danmachi episode 10 had some incredible fighting scenes. Really intense action right there. They weren't as good as the fight against the big Minotaur that Bell fought by himself, but there was lots of little good fighting scenes spread out throughout the episode. Lots of action, lots of monster slaying. And so that, to me, was the best bits of the episode. Spoiler flag up, and let's get into this. Because no, that actually wasn't the best bit of the episode for me. The best bit of the episode of me was the surprise right at the end. When we saw Seer appear, dressed up and ready to go into the dungeon. Oh my god, I'm so hyped up for that. So hyped up for that. She is such a badass and I can't wait. She's got the two little katanas at her side. And a weird stick on her other side. I don't know what the stick's for. Maybe she can do magic with it. Either way, it's going to be awesome. Can't wait to see her fight. And Hestia and Hermes' girl and all of the Japanese gods, heroes are all going into the dungeons. Oh, it's going to be cool seeing them all fight together. Wouldn't be as cool as if we actually saw Freya get into a fray herself, but at least we've got a bunch of gods and goddesses and heroes all working together now. Still won't be as cool as Eyes Wallenstein, but still. It's going to be fun. So the episode itself was pretty meh to me. Like, meh is the word that I would use to describe it, simply because there were quite a few awesome action scenes which I really enjoyed, but they were killed by exactly what I thought was going to happen, which was continuously the battles were getting harder, and that was okay. Everything was starting to get serious. Bell was starting to realise his team were getting hurt and it was kind of his fault, and that was all good. They decided to go down further into the dungeon rather than try to run away, because they knew that there's a safe point one level down. That was cool as well. The one thing that I didn't like about this is when they got surrounded by the three Minotaurs, and everybody was instantly like, oh god, we're screwed. And Bell just became too OP. I mean, Jesus Christ. He took out the one Minotaur by himself, just slicing him up, and then he grabbed the Minotaur's giant knife thing, and then used his Argonaut skill to take out the other two really painfully. Now that, to me, was just a waste of a fight. Like, it was bad enough when we saw the baby dragon and it got taken out in one hit. But now we see the three Minotaurs and I'm thinking, okay, he can take one of these out with Argonaut, but the other two he's going to have to fight by himself, and that should be cool. And then he managed to take all three of them out anyway. It was just like, wow, Bell, you OP and all, but that's not what I want to see. I want to see you actually trying and getting the shit knocked out of you and getting up each time. I don't want to see Sword Art Online's Kirito flying through the air cutting people to pieces. And he actually did, not Kirito, but he looked a lot like Levi, another one of my most hated characters from Shingeki no Kyojin. Like, the way he was spinning through the air in the circle with the cloak on, it just reminded me so much of Levi. Now, keep in mind, I don't hate Levi because of his personality. I just hate Levi because he's loved so much and he's so OP. I generally hate OP characters, and that's what Bell is starting to become. Which is, like I said last episode, it was starting to worry me. The idea that maybe Bell would end up like one of them. And throughout this episode, he's had some reaching moments. But anytime anything bad happens now, I just know it's just going to go straight to Argonaut. He went to Argonaut and took out 3 enemies rather than just 1 at this point. That's just too OP for me. So, not a great episode. Not by Danmachi's standards. I think part of that was the fact that they had that amazing Minotaur boss fight in the second half of the series, but not quite near the end. So it's gotten to the point where they're trying to one-up that fight with the Minotaur, and so they've rushed through Welf's whole arc, which is kind of sad. Like, I know they did a whole volume in the last episode, and you could tell it was super rushed, and now Welf is like so well bonded with the team despite the fact that we've known him for 1 episode. Which is another thing I hate. The pacing was terrible. But this should be doing better. They shouldn't be rushing this. They should have taken their time. Because they may get a season 2, but if they rush it and ruin it, nobody's going to want a season 2. So what they've done is rush to the point where Ryu is going down into the dungeon to look all badass and cool. And that's going to be awesome. I can tell that's going to be awesome. Ryu is a cool character. But at the same time, the fact that they've skipped so much to make sure that that's the big finale just feels like kind of a waste compared to what they should have been doing. They should have just made a proper good series and decided what bits were going to go where and not just rush through the bits they weren't too bothered with. So, the one other good strong moment of this episode was everything to do with Mikoto. Mikoto, the little samurai girl that just leveled up apparently as well. She is really cool. Like, she was the one who didn't want to leave Bell's group behind when they were running away from the wolves. She probably, if she was in charge, would have said, okay guys, kill the bunnies around them, get into defensive positions, we're going to fight it out here. And that would have been great. If those two parties had linked up, they probably could have gotten out together. But because they were thinking of themselves, they escaped and left Bell's party in there. And she was not happy with that at all. She was about ready to slap a bitch for that moment. So she's really cool, and it's really annoying that she's a sub-character. Like, I hope she stays in it, but as long as she's not just part of the harem. I want it to be one of the main characters, kind of like Ice Wallenstein is, where you see her every now and then, getting stronger and doing her own thing, because she seems like a cool character. And I don't want her to just be another girl that falls in love with Bell and starts hovering around him. I just want her to have her own little story going on that we see every now and then. That would be awesome to me. So yeah, thanks for listening, guys. I didn't enjoy this episode too much, but I'm still loving the anime Danmachi in general, and I'm hoping that that big finish they're aiming for is going to make up for all the rushing. So this episode I'm going to give a 4.5 out of 10. It really wasn't great to me, but I do think they can still pull this back in the last few episodes and make it an awesome finish. Thanks for listening. Leave a comment to let me know what you thought of the episode, especially if you have any thoughts on Mikoto, Hermes and his little subplot, Freya and her long-running plot which still hasn't come to an end. Like if you enjoyed the review, and subscribe if you haven't to see more. And I will see you guys next time.